On this episode of the show, I have with me Nikhil Gupta. He is founder and CTO at Vapi, and we're going to be talking about how relationships with businesses will change. And we're going to talk about that in the context of voice AI and voice AI agents, and we're going to talk about how that relationship is going to change, where that customer service piece is going to potentially look like, and what does consistency look like. And we're going to also talk about how a multimodal relationship might look in the future. A couple of different things in there as well. But Nikhil, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Amir. Excited to talk about these topics.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an exciting one. Before we start, tell us what you guys do over there.
Sure. A quick intro on us would be we're a configurable platform for people to deploy voice agents. We launched around 20 months ago and have since grown to like 400,000 developers. We see anywhere from YC startups to enterprises deploying voice. It's been a really exciting time just seeing voice AI getting deployed everywhere.
Absolutely. It is an exciting time. I think generative AI is interesting. I think the voice implications they haven't even begun to hit their stride. We could do a whole episode around that, but obviously we'll talk about that in the context of this episode. And it was interesting because when you mentioned the relationship with the business will change, when you first said that, I was like, oh, Nikhil's going to say it's going to be a negative. And then we talked about, oh no, it's going to be a different relationship, and that relationship is going to look, potentially enhanced in some ways and different in others. But I guess when we talk about voice AI and we're talking about agents, just to kind of set context, and the audience is technically proficient, so I know they've heard about voice agent, but when we're talking about voice AI agents, and in specific, we're going to be talking about business, what are some of the, I guess, big use cases you're going to see that are coming to the market or already on the market?
Happy to, kind of get into that. Also can talk a bit about like how do we define voice AI? What is, in that generative landscape, like what does that piece look like?
Sure.
So the simplest explanation is we're trying to make machines talk. And that's what got us started. That's what got us into the space. It was just really exciting. Oh, there's ChatGPT. That's cool. You can talk, like you can type it, right? But like, can I talk to it like I talk to a person? And it's getting better, right? Like now, especially with the launch of speech-to-speech models, it's like now the experience is quite good. So there's a bit of uncanny gap to like how it feels like talking to a person. Because when you talk to a person, they overlap you. They're like, they maybe back channel, like they give you like a little nod. It's when you're calling, they're like, those aspects are really cool about conversations that we're still actually quite a bit away from, because you need a full duplex model, which we're a bit farther from. Now, in terms of the use cases that we see with current, so what's cool about this industry is even though we know the human realism is going to come and it's going to be the breakthrough moment where everything changes, because you just feel in awe of like talking to this machine. It feels like equal to talking to a person, or even better, because they're faster. It's faster. Even before that moment, like right now, it's like very practically useful. We all are calling in to these like call centers, like support systems, and they suck. It's like a long wait time, or there is maybe they don't have the right context, so they're transferring you, like you're kind of playing like pinball, and that can currently be solved by these agents over voice that are smart. They can understand you. They can actually pronounce your name correctly, and all of those aspects have been kind of solved. So enough of those problems have been solved where they're not productive. And when I think about actually like what's working in AI, I'm like, voice AI is one of the few areas where you're actually getting a lot of ROI. We talk about like, where is AI going to move the needle? And like every day we see that for our customers, where their end customers are a lot happier because they can immediately get help. And it's fast. It has immediate all the context that you would want it to have on you. In terms of use cases, we see like customer support as obviously top one. We support niche scheduling. We see lead qualification, where like people are calling you in, and like sometimes businesses have too much inbound to know who they actually want to serve. And then this a big long tail. There's people like making sales training tools where you can practice and become a good salesperson. There's people making like clones where you can talk to like influencers. There's just a big variety.
Absolutely. When you look at, obviously, some of these use cases make sense. They fit, the progression of where some of these technologies have gone. When you think about a voice agent, and I guess everyone has had the experience of calling into some kind of voice technology, right? You get prompted. It's typically frustrating. It's not great. When you think about that relationship, not a lot of people have had great experiences. You don't go, oh my God, I loved calling in and being on hold and trying to press 5 or speak to them or whatever. When it comes to technology where it's going, and now with voice AI, what is that inherently bringing that's different? What are we going to see? What are we going to see that's different?
Yeah, I think there's different, I guess, like ways to bring that into perspective. One of the cooler ways is to imagine in your life, there's probably services that you have that you like. Maybe there's a local restaurant that you're really, close with, and like the server there knows you. Maybe like, okay, I recently started like training for free diving, and my coach is like freaking awesome. And she's with me like kind of in the practices, but then during the week she'll like send me like tutorials like, hey, watch this, or like she'll keep me up to date, or like, oh, by the way, make sure you show up. So it's like there is a relationship with that service, and that, when I think of the preference mode, right? I know like before, everything used to be that way. Like every service in your life, if you imagine 100 years ago, you buy your clothes, you're buying that from someone you know. It's like, imagine the barter system, right? Like you just like everything you're doing has a relationship with the person you are getting a service from. And that shifted as like businesses grew and they became like these behemoths where the interface where you interacted with them changed from like this person to like maybe became like you call them, like think about a QVC, like calling them and like buying something. That's a relationship with them, not like going in person to the store that's like local owned and like you have this relationship. Then it shifted to like mobile apps recently as well, right? Like where like if you think about a relationship with like Chase or Robinhood, like Uber, it's like mobile app. Like that's your experience. I guess I expect that will shift back to like the human interface, the human aspect of it, where the relationship to Robinhood or like again United, or like again I think the more prominent maybe example that resonates with people is like your hospital system. It's going to become human again, where it's this one, like since you were born to since you die, you just have a single relationship, and this person just knows you, like maybe let's put a name on it, like Hoppy, like it's like Hoppy is your hospital. Hoppy has a relationship with millions of clients that like are all like part of the hospital system, but to you it just feels like a singular person. It's like the human relationship stack is like part of the offering, which includes certain things. I think a big part of that is obviously being present in person. But if you outside of that, like it's like, does it feel like I'm talking to a person? Does it feel when I say something, it like understands like the intent and the emotion behind it? So maybe like 60 or 70% of like that human relationship stack, I think can happen without embodiment. And that's what I'm excited about, where every single person should feel like they can just text this hospital. They text their hospital. It's like, like I just like hit my knee. Like, what should I be concerned? And the hospital is like, okay, well, come in, or like, come in, don't come in. And they can be proactive. It's like, hey, like last time I know there was something on your kidney. We should probably take a look. So can you come in? And it's like, it's over. Like it's iMessage. It's like, again, it's like, oh yeah, can you quickly call me? It's like, it's call. Then maybe in like large future it'll be like embodied or something. Yeah.
I guess when you look at that relationship and you're trying to deeper the relationship, even human relationships, the deeper the relationships, the better you know someone, the more context you have. I mean that's how we view relationships, right? Somebody who doesn't know me as well doesn't have as deep of a relationship. What you're kind of talking about is, in this hospital example, in Hoppy's example, the hospital would want a relationship with me. Obviously, I haven't really seen that up to now. That'd be new. Normally, it's a pretty sterile process, right? If we're talking about health tech, if we're using this as an example, you're talking about it knowing more about me, so that when we are actually in services, it doesn't feel like I'm just literally showing up for my service and I'm leaving. When you're viewing that, and the potential of voice AI to kind of step in and bring that personalization, I guess talk to us about maybe a couple of areas. One, maybe it would be privacy, because obviously a lot of people, when it comes to generative AI, they're a little bit concerned about that. And I'm actually one that's like, let them know more. Like, I have nothing really of value on protecting for my private. I actually want them to know more for this relationship, for a deeper context. But in general terms, most people don't think that way. In relation to voice and privacy, I guess, talk to us a little bit about how the two work. How will we actually have that privacy component when it comes to voice?
There's simple answers to it, right? Like, none of everything that you're talking to with this AI is like kind of stays like encrypted. It's the same way where like you right now put your photos, like very sensitive photos, on like iCloud, but like it's just safe, and you trust like all the systems around it that like guarantee that it's safe. So we'll probably develop that. I would guess there's aspects of like impersonation and like fraud that are even scarier. Again, I expect like we will solve that through better regulation around it, better like maybe like policies, like just like enforce as a community around it. And we already see that, right? Like when the almost every like OpenAI launched the Sora app, and like they very quickly had like a way for IP owners to like refuse to get their IP in the app, and like so it's actually like I've been very not enthused by it, but like I'm pleasantly surprised. Like I think we're doing decent job at like taking some of the like, moving forward responsibly as like a AI industry. And the privacy will also probably become part of that. Just like you can trust that when you're talking to this AI, only your hospital and only people that you think they should know have access to that information. Like maybe when the Hoppy is talking to the doctor and giving him context, like Hoppy knows what context to give it. That you just gotta build that trust. The same way that like you just trust the nurse that you have a relationship with, that nurse is not like leaking anything to a doctor that you would not want. Maybe it's just sensitive to that relationship. So it's like you just will start trusting these things to like have that judgment. Is my hope. And if they're that intelligent, if like the AI is that intelligent, it should have the judgment.
Absolutely. And this relationship, I guess if you're a business, if you're the hospital and you're putting this technology in play, how does the business evaluate its effectiveness? Is it a case of, we want to make sure we're showing that value, that personalization? What are the feedback systems that are going to be in place so the business actually knows how the agent's behaving?
Yeah, totally. And I think this is where like it's cool, and why you need a platform. There's a lot. It's like not only is it like hard to like build these systems, because you can make a simple agent that's like doing a couple of these things, but like when it comes to, I want to put forth my entire business, every logic, all business logic to the customer, and have that be like a seamless experience. That's actually like you need a platform where you can manage all these agents and these agent interactions. So building it is interesting, but also like there's millions of calls or millions of interactions that will be happening, and like queuing it. Honestly, you'll probably have some other agents like doing that. Like you build the supervisor agents that look at that, and like and then you have like maybe human AI architects that actually like are bubbling, seeing the things that bubble up from that. It's also it's like humans can also escalate, and then you have the architects like look at it. So it's like kind of like any engineering system where you might report a bug to Amazon. Something happens, but I think this is where I think like, where we believe like where we sit and helping these companies with like not only the building but the evaluation and making sure things are working in production, setting up the right metrics so you can look at a graph, be like, okay, customers are happy. Okay, I think we're achieving the results we want. And some of the things that I think you'll be tracking will be not just happiness, but engagement over time, where why does this person leave to another hospital? It's like if I provided them a good service, maybe the other hospital had a better service that they provided. So those sort of things. It will also be really cool to actually get very rich feedback on how to make your services better. Because right now it's like we just leave, like someone just drops off, like churns from the Uber app, and Uber has very little clue. They do all these like surveys and stuff, but like this rich set of data, like you have a relationship, and like you'll get some feedback. It's like when a breakup happens, it's like there is because of that relationship, which will also make hopefully like Uber service better to most customers.
Absolutely. That's absolutely fair as well. And I guess when you're looking at this relationship, I mean, there's a lot of, when we're talking about voice, obviously our phones have been predominantly the way we have been dealing with voice. Obviously text gets mixed in there. With a voice AI agent, is that going to remain multimodal? Are we going to see one becoming more valuable? Because obviously, voice agent probably could kick off text as well. But I mean, are we going to keep seeing that multimodal relationship? Will it start shifting?
That's a super interesting question, and this is where kind of the rubber meets the road. I don't know like how adoption will play out, and like what's the experience that like people will be like, this is it, this is like how I want the agent to show up. Again, I have suspicion that it looks like iMessage, where you're just like talking over text to this. Like, it wouldn't be crazy to me, like in 2-3 years, if you have like 20-30 contact cards of like businesses that you actually like, that are actually important services in your life, that you just again have as a contact card that you like text from time to time. And they can text you back if there's something that's again relevant to you and like relevant in that relationship. And then again, like for the kind of the urgency of it, it's just like, let's get on a quick call. Like, let's just like right now call. It's like someday they ping you, and then you're like, or you just maybe call and it's like, I need to come in tomorrow. So that whenever there's a moment of like urgency, you just call. But yeah, when I think about like relationships in my life, it's like that same thing. It's just there's a mix of like a lot of texting and then some calling, and yeah, then you go in person.
Absolutely. I guess as you're in the middle of this the voice AI phenomenon, it's growing. I asked this question previously, and I am curious as you're kind of seeing the evolution and power of voice. I kind of look at our mobile devices and I go, well, I need a screen because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I still am the navigator of all things I need. But I actually, potentially, if I had a really good ability to have a conversation with my phone, do I really need to read and use my finger and have a screen as big as it is? Maybe not. Maybe for games and entertainment. I mean, is there a scenario that our relationship with our phone will change as voice agents get more powerful, as they become able to do more, and we need to actually do potentially less?
Yeah, I mean that'll be the single biggest thing that'll make me happy, probably. I don't think there's anything that's taken us away from the human world as much as like phones have. Just the idea of like you're in the world and like you could be like just talking to the person in front of you or like behind you or just connecting. But it's just so much more interesting to be in your phone and kind of doing whatever you need to get done. And yeah, like if everything that you need to get done can be offloaded to like agents where they just know exactly what you need done, and then you just like it's a very like, low. You just need very few bits to get that across to them, and then they come up with like the finished product. Uh, that'll mean that hopefully like you just need to do less, of that items, and you can spend more time thinking about like the human world, like in touch with the human world. Um, I see that kind of as a natural end state. Like there's nothing that should be left for you to do other than just think about like, oh, how do I make Amir more happy, or like how do I make like other person do something interesting for them, which might require a screen, but like might not. It might be like again the modality is like a voice. It's like how you are engaging with it, but then you have this like maybe generative UI that's like kind of it's working off of or something, or you're working together. Um, but it feels like it should be a different experience, like almost like hologram or something.
Absolutely. I love that. And I guess final question. I mean, when I do these episodes around AI technology, a lot of people ask the question of how soon till we see something? Is it, you mentioned we're seeing some stuff, but obviously there's you also mentioned there's some things left to figure out. What does the time horizon look like? Is it we've got some stuff and it's just improving? Is it to get to like a true level of what you're hoping for, where we've got a little bit more time? Is there anything you see there?
Totally. In terms of like you calling in and immediately getting a better experience, that should already be happening. I'm surprised actually the number of like restaurants when I call into SF now, they have like a voice agent. Adoption is pretty quick here. That's improving. I think it's still like people, like 10% of people probably still have the experience of like agent, like just like, oh, I hate this. But by and large, I think people are liking the experience from what we see. Otherwise, we wouldn't be growing this fast. It's just like, it's fast. It's like people had adverse reaction immediately, but then they're like, oh, I can immediately get help and it understands me. It's like, good, right? So that's already working and out there, and like, there's so much to do just deploying that. In terms of like when you can talk to it and it feels like indistinguishable from a person, we need the duplex models, full duplex models for that future, and that might take 2 years, if not more, at least a year. I think right now when you look at the latest like speech-to-speech models that we have, they're still very duplex, like where you say something and then it says something come back, and like they're just not trained to be like every 20 milliseconds they're running, or every 500 milliseconds they're running. There's some, and it's not like the top priority again for the foundation model labs either. So I would guess like year or two at least, since we see those models, and then maybe another year or two for like dispersion of the technology. So at least like 4 years before it like feels like the random thing you're talking to just like is like magic. But probably in like 2 years you should see something in your device that should feel really good. So consumer will be, I think, before business happens. And in terms of like the full Jarvis experience, I think there's like AR is getting better. I would guess like maybe like 6-7 years ish. At this point, I mean, if you have also AI that's accelerating science, like maybe, but like I would guess like 6-7 years. So all of these things we talked about should be within the next 10 years. Like, yeah, nothing seems more sci-fi than that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic, man. Nikhil, I appreciate your time. Somebody want to learn more, somebody might have a follow-up question on something you mentioned. What are some good ways of connecting?
I can be found almost everywhere. I'm guessing Twitter is pretty common for this audience. You can search up Nikhil Gupta Vapi, or I think _ Nikhil RO. That should find me. And then I'm also on LinkedIn, so feel free to send me a ping.
All right,
and if you have any, need any customer support for Vapi, you can text me at nikhil.vapi.ai.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Got some links there to get a hold of Nikhil, learn more about the company. Nikhil, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us.
You got it. Thanks, Amir, for having me.
Absolutely. All right, that's it for this episode. Be back again, different guest, different topic. Until then, two things. One, I think Nikhil talked to us about what's changing within the voice AI space, and some example we used was the hospital example, and I think that was really good to kind of make it concrete for us all, and also talked a little bit about the challenges and the future and how quickly things might arrive. So if you enjoyed this episode, please share this with somebody else who might also benefit and enjoy it. I appreciate that. Also, like, subscribe, comment, let me know how the show's going for you. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.